Introduction. Do you ever find yourself getting frustrated over small, trivial things, like someone cutting you off in traffic, a co-worker's careless mistake, or even minor annoyances at home? It's exhausting and often leaves you feeling powerless. The good news is Stoic philosophy offers practical strategies to manage anger and regain control over your emotions. In this video, we'll explore how to stop getting angry at stupid things by adopting the Stoic mindset. You'll learn how to respond calmly instead of reacting impulsively, understand why these small irritations don't deserve your energy, and discover techniques to cultivate inner peace even in frustrating situations. By applying timeless Stoic principles, you can transform your emotional reactions and experience a calmer, more resilient life. One that recognizes what you can control. One of the most powerful lessons in life and personal growth is learning to recognize what you can control and what you cannot. Many people waste tremendous energy worrying about things that are ultimately beyond their influence. This constant focus on external circumstances can lead to stress, frustration, and a sense of helplessness. By understanding the distinction between what is within your control and what is not, you can direct your energy more effectively and live a more peaceful and empowered life. The first step in this process is self-awareness. You need to take a step back and honestly assess the situations you encounter daily. Ask yourself, is this something I have direct influence over? For example, you cannot control the actions, opinions, or decisions of others, but you can control your responses to them. Similarly, you cannot prevent every obstacle that arises in life, but you can choose your attitude, your effort, and the way you respond to those challenges. Recognizing these boundaries of control is not about giving up or being passive. It's about focusing your effort where it matters most. Another critical aspect of controlling what you can is managing your emotions. Emotions like anger, fear, and frustration are natural, but dwelling on them in situations beyond your control only amplifies negativity. By acknowledging your emotions without letting them dictate your actions, you reclaim the power to choose constructive responses. For instance, traffic jams, bad weather, or workplace conflicts may frustrate you, but your reaction, patience, adaptability, and problem-solving remains fully under your control. Over time, practicing this awareness strengthens emotional resilience and reduces unnecessary stress. In addition, recognizing what you can control improves decision-making and productivity. When you focus solely on actions within your sphere of influence, you become more effective and strategic. You stop wasting time trying to change uncontrollable circumstances and instead direct your energy toward planning, preparation, and skill development. This mindset aligns with principles from Stoic philosophy, which emphasize controlling your thoughts, actions, and attitudes rather than external events. People who consistently practice this approach often find that their lives feel calmer, more focused, and more purposeful. Finally, this lesson fosters personal accountability. Accepting responsibility for what you can control empowers you to make meaningful changes in your life. It encourages you to set goals, take consistent action, and reflect on your growth without being trapped by external setbacks. Over time, recognizing what you can control allows you to build confidence, resilience, and inner peace, because you understand that while you cannot dictate every outcome, you can always dictate your approach, effort, and mindset. In essence, mastering this principle shifts your perspective from helplessness to empowerment, creating a foundation for a life of intentionality, calm, and meaningful progress. 2. Pause before reacting. In life, our reactions often shape the outcomes of situations far more than the situations themselves. One of the most valuable lessons anyone can learn is the importance of pausing before reacting. When confronted with challenging circumstances, provocative comments, or unexpected setbacks, it is natural to respond immediately. However, immediate reactions are often impulsive, emotionally driven, and sometimes regrettable. Pausing before reacting allows us to respond thoughtfully, consciously, and with greater emotional intelligence. It is a practice that strengthens self-control, improves decision-making, and fosters healthier relationships. Pausing before reacting begins with awareness. Often, our immediate responses are automatic. They are conditioned by past experiences, habitual thought patterns, or unexamined emotions. Anger, frustration, fear, or excitement can cloud judgment and push us to act in ways that we later wish we hadn't. By taking even a brief moment to breathe, reflect, and recognize our emotions, we create a mental space between stimulus and response. This space is where conscious choice becomes possible. It allows us to evaluate whether a reaction will serve our long-term goals or simply provide a temporary release of emotion. One of the key benefits of pausing is emotional regulation. Strong emotions, particularly negative ones, can distort perception and exaggerate problems. For example, responding to criticism with defensiveness or anger may escalate a minor conflict into a major one. By pausing, we give ourselves time to process the emotion, understand its source, and choose a response that is measured and constructive. This is not a sign of weakness or avoidance. Rather, it is an exercise in strength and maturity. People who master the art of pausing are often able to maintain calm under pressure, communicate more effectively, and resolve conflicts with grace. Pausing before reacting also enhances decision-making. When reactions are impulsive, we risk making choices based on incomplete information, assumptions, or temporary feelings. Taking a moment allows us to assess the situation more objectively, consider potential consequences, and choose actions that align with our values. This practice is particularly important in high-stakes situations, whether in professional settings, personal relationships, or even social media interactions. A well-timed pause can prevent regret, embarrassment, and unnecessary tension, while encouraging more thoughtful and productive outcomes. In addition, pausing before reacting improves relationships. Reacting impulsively often harms trust, creates misunderstandings, and fuels conflict. Conversely, pausing signals to others that we are listening, considering their perspective, and responding with care. This cultivates respect and empathy, essential qualities for meaningful human connections. Simple techniques, such as counting to 10, taking a deep breath, or mentally stepping back, can be surprisingly effective in creating this pause and fostering healthier interactions. Ultimately, the habit of pausing before reacting is a lifelong skill that empowers individuals to live intentionally. It reminds us that we are not slaves to our impulses, but active participants in shaping our behavior and life outcomes. By embracing this lesson, we can respond with clarity instead of chaos, with understanding instead of anger, and with wisdom instead of regret. In every challenging moment, the power to pause is the power to choose, to act consciously, responsibly, and compassionately. Reframe your perspective. Life is full of challenges, setbacks, and moments that can leave us feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, or even defeated. Often, the difference between stagnation and growth lies not in the events themselves, but in how we interpret them. Reframing your perspective is a powerful skill that allows you to change the way you view situations, turning obstacles into opportunities and stress into motivation. At its core, reframing is about shifting your mindset from a limited, negative viewpoint to one that is constructive, solution-oriented, and growth-focused. By practicing this approach, you develop resilience, emotional intelligence, and the ability to navigate life's complexities with greater ease. Reframing begins with awareness. The first step is recognizing the mental narratives you create about yourself and your circumstances. Many people unknowingly adopt a fixed mindset, believing that challenges define them or that failure is permanent. For example, missing a promotion at work may lead someone to think, "I'm not good enough," rather than considering, "What can I learn from this experience to improve for the future?" By consciously observing your thoughts and identifying patterns of negativity, you create the space needed to transform them. This awareness allows you to pause, step back, and question whether your current perspective serves your long-term goals and well-being. Once you identify limiting or negative thoughts, the next step is actively choosing a new lens. Reframing doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending that difficulties don't exist. Rather, it involves interpreting events in ways that empower and motivate you. For instance, setbacks can be seen as learning experiences, criticism as constructive feedback, and delays as opportunities to prepare and grow. This approach aligns with cognitive behavioral strategies, which show that changing thought patterns can significantly influence emotions and behavior. By deliberately focusing on what you can control, rather than what you cannot, you shift your energy from worry and frustration to problem-solving and personal growth. Reframing also fosters empathy and better relationships. By looking at situations from multiple perspectives, you become more understanding of others' motives and actions. This can reduce conflict and improve communication, as you're less likely to react impulsively or assume the worst. For example, if a friend cancels plans unexpectedly, instead of assuming they are being inconsiderate, you might consider that they are dealing with personal stress. This mindset shift reduces resentment and allows for more compassionate responses. The benefits of reframing are far-reaching. People who consistently practice this skill tend to experience less stress, greater creativity, and enhanced mental health. It empowers individuals to transform challenges into opportunities for learning and growth. Over time, reframing becomes a natural habit, allowing you to approach life with optimism, resilience, and clarity. In essence, your perspective is not fixed. It is a lens that you can adjust to see the world more positively and constructively. By choosing how you interpret and respond to life events, you reclaim your power and open doors to personal transformation and fulfillment. Practice empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person, and it is one of the most essential skills for building meaningful relationships, both personally and professionally. Practicing empathy goes beyond simply listening or nodding along to what someone says. It requires genuine effort to see the world from another person's perspective. When we practice empathy, we step outside our own experiences, biases, and assumptions to truly connect with others. This skill allows us to respond thoughtfully, provide meaningful support, and foster deeper understanding in every interaction. Empathy is not about agreeing with someone or solving their problems for them. Rather, it is about validating their emotions and acknowledging their experiences as real and significant. Developing empathy begins with active listening. Active listening means giving someone your full attention, without distractions, and being fully present in the moment. It involves noticing not only their words, but also their tone, body language, and emotional cues. By paying attention to these signals, we can gain a deeper understanding of what someone is feeling, even if they are struggling to express it. Asking open-ended questions can also enhance empathy, as it encourages others to share more about their experiences and emotions. Questions such as, "How did that make you feel?" Or, "Can you tell me more about what happened?" show genuine interest and create a safe space for people to open up. Another important aspect of practicing empathy is suspending judgment. Often, our immediate reactions are influenced by personal beliefs, biases, or past experiences. Empathy requires us to put those aside and approach each person's experience with an open mind. This does not mean ignoring harmful behavior or compromising personal boundaries. It simply means understanding the emotional context behind someone's actions. For example, a co-worker may seem irritable or distant, but practicing empathy encourages us to consider possible external pressures, stress, or personal struggles that might be influencing their behavior. Empathy also involves emotional resonance, connecting with the feelings of others without losing our own sense of self. This balance allows us to care for others while maintaining our own emotional health. Practicing empathy in daily life can take many forms, from small acts of kindness, such as offering encouragement or a listening ear, to larger efforts, like supporting a friend through a challenging time or volunteering for causes that help those in need. Consistently practicing empathy can strengthen relationships, reduce conflict, and create environments where people feel seen, valued, and respected. Ultimately, empathy is a skill that grows with intention and practice. By striving to understand others' perspectives, responding with compassion, and maintaining genuine emotional engagement, we enrich both our own lives and the lives of those around us. Empathy transforms interactions from superficial exchanges into meaningful connections, fostering trust, collaboration, and a deeper sense of humanity. In a world often divided by differences, practicing empathy is a powerful tool that bridges gaps, heals misunderstandings, and cultivates a more compassionate, understanding, and connected society. 5. Focus on virtue and personal growth. Focusing on virtue and personal growth is one of the most profound lessons in life, as it encourages individuals to align their actions with moral excellence while continuously striving to improve themselves. Virtue, in its essence, represent qualities such as honesty, courage, patience, humility, and compassion, which serve as a foundation for ethical behavior and meaningful relationships. When a person prioritizes virtue, their decisions are guided not by fleeting desires or external validation, but by an internal compass that values integrity and justice. This focus transforms ordinary actions into conscious choices, making life more purposeful and principled. Equally important is the pursuit of personal growth, which involves a deliberate effort to expand one's knowledge, skills, emotional intelligence, and self-awareness. About evolving into a better version of oneself every day, understanding one's weaknesses, and cultivating strengths that contribute positively to society. Together, virtue and personal growth create a virtuous cycle. The more an individual develops morally and intellectually, the more capable they become of living a meaningful, ethical life, and the more their virtuous actions encourage further self-improvement. Focusing on these aspects also provides resilience in the face of adversity. Life inevitably presents challenges, setbacks, and temptations that can derail one's path. However, a person committed to virtue and growth can navigate difficulties with patience, discernment, and courage, turning obstacles into opportunities for learning and self-reflection. This mindset shifts attention away from envy, anger, or superficial desires, emphasizing long-term fulfillment rather than temporary pleasure. Furthermore, focusing on virtue fosters stronger connections with others, as people are naturally drawn to individuals who demonstrate sincerity, fairness, and empathy. Relationships built on trust and respect flourish when individuals prioritize moral excellence and self-awareness, creating supportive communities that encourage mutual development. Importantly, this lesson emphasizes internal over the external, reminding individuals that personal satisfaction and genuine happiness do not come from material wealth, recognition, or power, but from a mastery of oneself and the consistent practice of ethical principles. By concentrating on inner development, a person gains clarity of purpose, emotional stability, and a deep sense of fulfillment that external achievements alone cannot provide. In a world often dominated by instant gratification, comparison, and competition, choosing to focus on virtue and personal growth is a deliberate, empowering decision that shapes character, influences others positively, and cultivates a life of authenticity and meaning. Ultimately, this lesson teaches that life's greatest achievements are not measured by accolades or possessions, but by the quality of one's character and the progress made toward becoming a morally upright, wise, and compassionate human being. By committing to this path, one ensures that every action, thought, and choice contributes to a life that is not only successful in its own right, but also beneficial to the broader world. 6. Limit exposure to triggers. Learning to limit exposure to triggers is a crucial step toward maintaining emotional stability, mental health, and overall well-being. Triggers are stimuli, such as people, situations, environments, or even thoughts, that provoke strong emotional reactions, often linked to past experiences, trauma, or ingrained habits. These reactions can range from anger, anxiety, sadness, or frustration to more subtle stress responses. While it is impossible to avoid every trigger completely, consciously limiting exposure to them can significantly reduce emotional turbulence and increase personal control over one's responses. Understanding and managing triggers begins with awareness. The first step is to identify what specifically causes intense reactions. This may require self-reflection, journaling, or even observing patterns in behavior and emotional responses. For example, some individuals may feel triggered by certain social media content, negative interactions with specific colleagues, or stressful environments. By recognizing these patterns, a person can take intentional steps to avoid or mitigate exposure rather than responding impulsively when the trigger arises. Limiting exposure does not mean avoiding life or becoming overly cautious. It means creating boundaries that protect mental and emotional resources. This may involve setting physical, digital, or emotional boundaries. For instance, someone might decide to mute notifications from social media platforms that consistently cause stress, avoid certain conversations that escalate tension, or reduce time spent in environments that heighten anxiety. These small, intentional changes often have a compounding effect on overall emotional health. Another important aspect is learning to distinguish between triggers that can be modified and those that cannot. While some triggers, like a stressful coworker or a public speaking event, may be unavoidable, understanding the level of control one has over different situations helps in applying strategies more effectively. For unavoidable triggers, preparation, coping mechanisms, and mental reframing can reduce the impact, while avoidable triggers can often be minimized or eliminated entirely. Limiting exposure also encourages a proactive mindset rather than a reactive one. By anticipating potential triggers and planning accordingly, individuals can prevent emotional overwhelm before it starts. This proactive approach fosters resilience, self-efficacy, and a greater sense of autonomy in one's life. It is important to recognize that limiting exposure to triggers is a process, not an instant solution. Emotional growth and self-regulation require practice, patience, and sometimes professional guidance. Therapy, mindfulness practices, or support groups can provide valuable tools for managing exposure effectively. Over time, individuals can cultivate a balanced environment in which they are exposed only to stimuli that contribute positively to their emotional and mental health, while minimizing unnecessary stressors. In conclusion, learning to limit exposure to triggers empowers individuals to maintain emotional equilibrium, make thoughtful decisions, and protect their mental well-being. By identifying triggers, creating boundaries, and adopting a proactive approach to managing unavoidable stressors, a person can significantly reduce emotional reactivity and live a more peaceful, intentional life. Limiting exposure is not about avoidance. It is about creating space to thrive. 7. Reflect daily. Daily reflection is one of the simplest yet most powerful habits you can develop to enhance your personal growth, emotional well-being, and overall effectiveness. Taking time each day to pause, review, and contemplate your experiences allows you to gain clarity, recognize patterns, and make more intentional decisions. In our fast-paced world, it is easy to get caught up in constant activity, reacting to circumstances without understanding them fully. Reflection offers a pause, a conscious opportunity to step back and analyze our actions, thoughts, and feelings, enabling a deeper understanding of ourselves. By reflecting daily, you cultivate self-awareness. Self-awareness is a foundation of personal growth because it helps you recognize not just what you do, but why you do it. It allows you to identify your strengths, weaknesses, and recurring patterns in behavior. For instance, if you notice that you often react with frustration in stressful situations, daily reflection can help you understand the triggers and consider healthier ways to respond. Without reflection, these patterns may go unnoticed, repeating day after day without your conscious awareness. Empathize with others, and maintain better relationships. Reflecting on conflicts, challenges, or even successes helps you understand the role your emotions play in decision-making. It allows you to process experiences instead of letting them linger unconsciously, which reduces stress and fosters resilience. Over time, this habit of processing emotions contributes to greater mental clarity and emotional stability. Moreover, daily reflection improves learning and productivity. When you examine your day, you can evaluate what worked well, what didn't, and how to improve tomorrow. This continuous feedback loop creates opportunities for incremental growth and more efficient problem solving. Whether it's evaluating the outcomes of a project, assessing the progress toward personal goals, or understanding the dynamics of social interactions, reflection transforms experiences into lessons. Without reflection, experiences often pass without leaving a meaningful impact, and growth becomes accidental rather than intentional. Practical methods for daily reflection vary, but consistency is key. Journaling, even for just 10 minutes, can help capture insights and track patterns over time. Meditation or quiet contemplation is another way to reflect, allowing thoughts to surface naturally. Some people prefer structured questions, such as, "What did I learn today?" or "How could I have handled the situation better?" The method matters less than the commitment to pause and reflect. In conclusion, reflecting daily is not just a habit. It is a tool for lifelong growth. By intentionally pausing each day to examine your actions, thoughts, and emotions, you develop self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and clarity that guide better decisions. Over time, this practice transforms ordinary experiences into profound lessons, allowing you to live more consciously and purposefully. Daily reflection cultivates a mindset of continuous improvement, making you more resilient, mindful, and empowered to create the life you want. Even a few minutes each day can have a significant impact, turning reflection into a cornerstone of personal development.